Cool. I'll kick things off now. Thanks everyone for taking some time out this morning to look at the integration between FarmIQ and Figured. My name's Andy Drinkwater. I'm a business development manager at Figured, and I'm joined by Adam Stewart and Craig Trotter from FarmIQ, who will be running this webinar with me today. The webinar will be no more than 45 minutes. Throughout the webinar, please put any questions in the chat or the Q&A throughout the webinar, and we'll get to that at a Q&A session at the end and try and answer some of those as we're going. So don't be shy, pop in any questions in, and we can get back to you at the end of the webinar. And if there's too many, we'll follow up post-webinar as well. This session will be recorded, and we'll send that out within a couple of days. So if you do need to view it again, or for those that cannot attend the session now. Craig will run through the FarmIQ overview, and then I'll do the same for Figured. And then there'll be a brief integration overview from Aaron, followed by a demo in the apps showing them working together. And then we'll take a look at the next steps for getting set up. I'll now hand it over to Craig to introduce FarmIQ.
Bloody marvelous, thanks, Andy. So, folks, this is just a brief few minutes just around what is FarmIQ. We are a map-based farm management software. We specialise in pastoral-based sheep, beef, deer, and dairy production systems. And so we're a system where farmers can record all their information in one place. We're all about recording animal and land activities. If we give some examples of animal activities, you can record on FarmIQ your live weight, your weight target reporting. So you can record and report on your animal performance, your animal health treatments, your product inventory, and all of those sort of things. Your stock movements across farms. And so you can record all that information. We're both on an app, as you can see there on the screen, and on a desktop version. And you can see some of the maps there that we have and the functionality that we have there. And of course, you can record your stock reconciliations, your births, your deaths, your sales and purchases. And the purpose of this webinar is just to go through that in terms of the integration that we've built with Figured. You can record all your land activities as well. And so your ferret and chemical applications, cropping plans and activities. And you can get a really detailed paddock history and reports around your nutrient application analysis and reporting and that sort of thing as well. It's really important these days for audit and assurance programs, as well as maintaining good performance and production records. That's what we're all about, really. Moving on, we're about driving better farming decisions, and so improving performance and peace of mind around audit time. And so you can utilize the history recording, the activities recording elements of FarmIQ to assist with when it comes to farm assurance programs and farm audits as well. We're all about bringing all your information into one place, and particularly around the round of the partners and integrations that we have with it, FarmIQ. We have a wide range of integrations and a couple of examples that I'll just talk through. For those farmers that have Gallagher or TrueTest gear, we can integrate the two systems, and so you can record your weighing events onto the FarmIQ platform. Any farmers or contractors use TrackMap. You can utilize the TrackMap integration functionality that will record your chemical and your fertilizer applications from TrackMap into FarmIQ. Another example is we have an integration with NATE as well. So all your stock movement activities on and off farm, we integrate with NATE. For those farmers that supply livestock to Silverfern Farms and Ansco, we have an automatic integration for carcass records, and it's another good example. And of course, we now have a Figured integration as well. So really exciting time, and fantastic to have such a good turnout of people here at the webinar this morning. Further ado, we're really proud to be part of the Fernmark licensing program within FarmIQ. So we're one of the very first New Zealand agri-tech company to do so. And we have around 5,000 Kiwi farms on the platform at the moment. And so, yeah, just a brief background around FarmIQ, and I'll pass back to Andy for background around Figured.
Thanks, Craig, for that overview of FarmIQ. So I'll just touch on the Figured side now. So Figured was built quite simply to remove the burden associated with managing your farm finances. So integrating with an accounting software like Xero allows Figured to focus on ensuring your farm finances can easily be managed. So Figured enables you to put the production and quantity information on top of bank feeds and accounting information, allowing you to quickly build out a cash flow and also look at profitability. Typically, reviewing financial information can be seen as a heavy load to carry. So with the thought being, why should I plan a cash flow when as soon as it's created, it becomes outdated and irrelevant? Bookkeeping takes forever. Doing budgeting and planning is a very manual process. But Figured is all about transforming how farmers work with their team and view their finances. So we help align financial and production information in real time, which serves up relevant and up-to-date information that empowers insightful and accurate financial decisions. And then two, alleviates a lot more of the manual processes typically involved with creating budgets and then keeping them updated. So we're passionate about allowing farmers to make decisions in real time based on live data connected up to those bank feeds. Having a single source of truth that the farming team can all be across is crucial for simplifying farm planning, and this is where cloud accounting really comes into its own. So building a budget and keeping your live forecast updated is easy within Figured, and it only becomes easier the more years you plan by capturing last season's data and building on that for next season's plan. So thinking about what went to plan and what didn't go to plan, and what does that mean for next season? Here's just an overview of how you could use Figured and Xero throughout the year. So it is a one-off setup. You can make the setup easy by using an accountant, and we have a list of setup specialists on our website as well. You can build a plan, which is done once a year. You'll reconcile your actuals in Xero daily or weekly, file GST returns straight out of Xero as well, and then review, reforecast, and repeat. So you can be doing this weekly, monthly, and quarterly within the platform. So comparing your actuals to your base plan and revising your forecast as needed. So that's a brief summary of Figured. Now I'm going to pass it over to Aaron to look at the integration itself, and I'll just stop sharing my screen and you can go ahead and share now, Aaron. Thank you. And you're just on mute there as well, sorry, Aaron.
Thanks. Yeah, so thanks very much for that. So yeah, the integration. So the integration is primarily is based around having the stock rec numbers, so the stock movements that you do on farm, and aligning those between the two systems. So if you were doing a birth, death, sale purchase in FarmIQ, that will be passed over and appear automatically in your Figured farm and the appropriate tracker and so on. And that goes right through from lost and found information, any trait changes you need to make, and as well as we will automate the aging process. So that all becomes managed from FarmIQ and is designed to make your data entry life that much easier. As I say, the stock rec flows through automatically, eliminates all that double entry. So if at the moment you're entering stock in FarmIQ and doing your farm management in there, at the moment you'd also be entering those same stock numbers and sales, purchases, etc. in Figured. You no longer have to do that. For stock numbers, it becomes a single source of truth, which is FarmIQ for the stock numbers. Financial data is the source of truth being Xero, which again then flows automatically into Figured. So the idea is this whole saves time, not having to amend data so much in between two systems. And yeah, you can have confidence that the numbers are there and they're available to whoever you want or whoever needs them in a timely fashion. So we'll go through and I'll give you a quick demo of how it works, and we'll jump through, do a very, very quick setup, and so you'll run you through some of that. So the integration works. It can work with single or multiple companies, or multiple farms. So if you've got multiple farms, this integration will work for that as well. When you're going to sign up, it's as simple as sort of authorizing, connecting, which will take you off to your figured. Into your appropriate credentials and authorize the connection between us. Then takes you back to the wizard, and it's a case of following through and picking your appropriate farm that you want to connect to. Or if you've got multiple farms, you'll have multiple options there, and you can work your way through that appropriately. Asking for the date you want to start the configuration, start the process from, default to tomorrow. And yeah, sort of the final step for aligning these two systems to get the stock recs to talk is to align the FarmIQ animal model with the figured animal model, so the figured trackers. We try to make this as easy as possible, and we will default in where it makes sense and it's appropriate. If there is no corresponding item in the tracker, there's an option to not link them, and so on. So if you've got a very simple model, you actually can just click next and continue. You can always come back to this and amend it as you need to. So if you add additional things to your tracker, you can do that. And if you've got a really complex scenario, you are using multiple farms, multiple stock trackers of the same animal type, the wizard will actually let you know that, hey, look, that's great. We know you've got a complex system. Give our support team a call. They'll actually be notified as well with all the details, and they'll actually work through that setup process with you to finalize it. But as I say, that's only if you've got a complex model, and the support team, they're great. They'll help you out. Final step is just summarizing what's going, what you've actually set up. And that's it. That's the setup process. From that point, you can go back to your farm. Now, I'm back in my diary. I now have that link between them two. Now, if I was looking in figured, and I looked at my figured farm, these are the two trackers I just linked. You now see I'm actually got a FarmIQ link on the two, showing that they're actually linked. And in my sheep tracker, I've already got some previous events that were there that I can use. So with the integration running, as I say, you can do basically any event that you do in FarmIQ regarding stock movements will then transfer across. So if I was doing a purchase, I'm not using tags in this case, but if I were, I could also be doing my NATE transactions. If I was doing cattle or deer, I'm just going to buy some ram hoggets. I'll buy 150 of them. And I'm going to put them in my ram hoggets mob. And other data that travels across, your weights data will also go through. So if these had an average weight of 40 kgs on it, that's all I need to do. It's a standard recording that you do in FarmIQ. You process that through, and as I say, if I'd been doing cattle, my NATE would be going as well, or if my integration with FarmX, that would be happening as well. And on my stock rec, on my sheet, there's my ram hoggets. And if I were to go to figure, and I refresh that, my ram hoggets are now there. My transaction is there, the 40 kgs is there. And it's that quick. It essentially means any transaction you're going to do in here, whether it's a sale, birth, death, loss, etc., will appear appropriately in here. If you're using multiple farms, as I said, they'll actually also flow through, and depending on your configuration, yeah, we'll also put notes here to tell you which farm sent it through and so on, to make it easy for you to identify if you're sending 2 farms into one tracker, for example. The aging, if you've used Figured for a while and you've done a year's worth of aging, you'll know that you do a sort of a manual process of aging them up. When the integration is running, FarmIQ will actually handle all that aging for you. And so as soon as you roll past your aging date, that will align, and we'll actually maintain that. So if you had to do an entry in the past year, it would automatically adjust the aging appropriately and sort of keep those stock recs aligned. So that, yeah, that's a very quick overview of how it works. It's designed to be as simple as possible. If you're in FarmIQ and you do have any problems, like I say, we've got a great support team that will be there to help you get set up and get running, and help with any problems you have. So yeah, very quick demo. Hopefully, yeah, if you've got any questions, do throw them in the Q&A. I'll pass back to you, Andy.
Yep. Cool. Thanks for that, Aaron. We've had a number of questions come in. I'll just have a look at some of those now. So there was just a question on, do you have a blurb about this? And I've dropped a couple of Help Center article links in response to Nicole there. Thank you. And we've been asked what if you're not using FarmIQ. So if you're not using FarmIQ, you can still record the production trackers within the Figured trackers themselves. The integration with FarmIQ gives the ability to pull those production movements from FarmIQ into Figured, working seamlessly together. Does the integration work with the Figured Lite subscription? Yes, it does. Thanks for the question. There's a couple questions there, team. Craig and Aaron, if you just want to cover off from the FarmIQ side. What is, oh, sorry, Jules has asked, what is the cost of adding to Figured? There is no cost for getting the integration linked up between FarmIQ and Figured. Yeah. Sorry, there's just a few more coming in now. Are you able to? There's a question, are you able to delete the transaction if required from an automatic FarmIQ entry? FarmIQ FarmX integration doesn't allow you to. Can you just cover that off from your side, please, Aaron or Craig? Yeah,
so any event that you edit or delete in FarmIQ will automatically amend accordingly in Figured as well. So if you find that you've got the wrong number of stock or the wrong type, or or it's just plain wrong and you want to delete it, you go into FarmIQ and delete it, it will be accordingly deleted in Figured. So yeah.
Awesome. What else have we got?
How does Nate info work? So for the Nate information, FarmIQ has an integration directly with Nate. So if you have turned Nate on in FarmIQ and entered your picker details, etc., we are able to send that information straight through to Nate as soon as you record a sale or purchase, death, loss, etc. For the ANSCO data feed, that information comes in. We don't pass that over for things such as payments, etc. All the finance is handled in from the Xero side of it, which I think is one of the other questions there, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, just looking through, there's quite a few more questions in here. Purchases. Sorry. Does it, we've got here. Oh, so how is the dollar data and other party data handled? Yeah, so that the financial side handled within Xero, and that'll pull through into Figured. So Figured basically being the hub between Xero and FarmIQ. So that production and movements pulling through from FarmIQ into Figured, and the sale and purchases pulling through from Xero into Figured, and then they're going to be matching up when you're running the reports out of Figured.
It doesn't work in reverse, I think Lisa asked. So yeah, from an animal point of view, FarmIQ becomes the hub for, or the source of truth for the numbers. So if you're entering purchases, etc., enter it into FarmIQ, it will float a figure.
Okay, we've got quite a few more questions in there, but we'll should we look to wrap up there now, and we'll be following up after the webinar with a recording from today's session, and we'll get answers typed up for all of these questions that have come through, and we'll yeah, get that out to you. So yeah, thanks again for joining the webinar today, and yeah, we'll be in touch. Thanks everyone.